Thank you very much, Paul, for having me here today. It's an honor and privilege to speak to these wonderful graduating seniors here tonight at Cristo Rey High School. And Father Torres, thanks for that wonderful invocation. I must admit, I went to a Dominican high school, but my brother did graduate from Jesuit High School in Dallas. So I want to congratulate the wonderful parents here tonight, and the siblings and the family members who have helped our graduates along the road. I want to thank, of course, the wonderful faculty at Cristo Rey High School for the wonderful job they've done, the employers who helped all the Cristo Rey graduates get through school, and most of all, the entire community that supports these wonderful young people I look at tonight, because today is the first day for the rest of your life. I thought tonight I would give you Mattress Mack's top 10 tips for success. Number 1 being the least important, number 10 being the most important. So here we go. Number 1, students, it's what you learn after you know it all that really counts. It's what you learn after you know it all that really counts. Today you graduate from high school. But today is the beginning of your educational journey. Make your life a lifelong learning road. One of my mentors in business was an old man named W. Edwards Deming. He was the father of quality control in this country, and after World War II, Douglas MacArthur sent him to Japan to rebuild their economy, and did that. And then he came back to the United States. And I'll never forget, when he was 93 years old, he was still teaching these 4-day, 8-hour-a-day seminars on quality and productivity. And I was attending one up at the Marriott by the airport in North Houston. And here was this 93-year-old man teaching this seminar, which would have been difficult for somebody 40 years old, much less 93. And at that point, his body was paralyzed, and he in a wheelchair. They had oxygen pumping into his nose to help him stay awake. He did the first 3 days of the seminar, and Friday was the 4th and final day. And from 8 to 9:30 he did the seminar, and he was coughing and wheezing and having a tough time get through the seminar. And I was sitting right up toward the front. One of the participants went up and said, "Dr. Deming, you're old, you're tired, you're sick." He said, "Why don't you cancel the next 6 hours of seminar, go home to Washington, D.C., where you live?" He said, "Everybody here will understand, everybody will be okay with it." He said, why are you doing this? Why are you punishing yourself?" I'll never forget that old man looked him right in the eye, and he said, "I'm doing this because I have a responsibility to make a difference." He did, and we all do. Dr. Deming died on December 20th, 1993, 3 months later. As he died, he was laying in bed, and his daughter was reading a book to him to help him continue to educate his mind. So number 1 point is lifelong learning. It's what you learn after you know it all that really counts. Number 2, students, you already know this because you've already demonstrated this. Successful people like the Cristo Rey graduates here tonight do the things that unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. Successful people do the things that unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. You did your work experience to help pay for your education at Cristo Rey. You worked very hard in this wonderful Catholic high school. The curriculum was demanding, but because you're successful, you did the things that other people would have been unwilling to do. Number 3, students, and this has guided my life as much as most of these precepts. Adversity is a blessing in disguise and is certainly the greatest character builder. Welcome adversity, because every day we're going to get knocked down in life. And the object is, don't be ashamed of being knocked down. Just get back up and get back in the fight. Fall 7, rise 8. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he invented the light bulb. He failed 10,000 times, but he didn't see it as a failure. He saw each failure as one more reason why it wouldn't work, and as he eliminated those reasons, he found what would work. So embrace adversity throughout your life. Number 4, and I've already said this, we all have a responsibility for the well-being of our community. Our community is racked with problems. The schools, when I went to school, there was no question that we were safe in school. Now it's a different atmosphere. We have a responsibility as Christians, as Catholics, to go out there and lead from the front, to make the community better, to set an example for other people to follow. And they'll know we are Christians by our love. We have a responsibility for the least, last, and lost. Number 5, students, be grateful for everything and entitled to nothing. Grateful for everything and entitled to nothing. One thing I've learned in my life is that the harder you work for something, the more you appreciate it. The more you get knocked down on the road to success, the sweeter it is when you get there. And another thing I've learned in my life is that nobody's going to give you anything, which is fine. Go out there and earn it, and you feel so much better for it. So be grateful for everything and entitled to nothing. I was speaking at Paul Revere Middle School the other day, which is located right there at Briar Forest in Wilcrest. It's in the most diverse part of Houston, and all the children there come from these low-income apartments around there. At Paul Revere Middle School, they speak 40 languages. And they had a sign on the billboard at the school that I'd never heard before, but it was a wonderful saying. It says, our lives begin to end. It says, our lives begin to end when we become silent about things that matter. Our lives begin to end when we become silent about things that matter. Sometimes, Cristo Rey graduates, you got to stand up and fight. You got to fight for what is right. You got to stand up and fight for what you believe in, what you were taught in this wonderful school. I have a friend of mine, he's a wonderful doctor, he's 78 years old. And one of our local newspapers is trying to ruin his reputation at this age in his life. And this man has given his life to medicine, given his life to his patients. I used to go visit my brother when he was dying in the hospital at 2 in the morning, and this doctor would be in the room caretaking for him, even though he operated in 4 hours. And then they printed these newspaper articles about him. And I was told to keep quiet, to stay out of it. Nope, not part of the deal. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Number 7. Human beings like you wonderful students were made to live, work, play, and die in groups. It's about family. It's about community. It's about building community. That's what the Catholic Church is called to do, to build communities. Did you know, students, that in 1850, the average size of a U.S. household was 10.5 people? Currently, according to the last census, the average size of a U.S. household is less than 3, and 1 out of every 3 households is a household of 1. We've lost our sense of community. So I encourage you to go out there and build relationships and build churches and build schools like Cristo Rey has been built up miraculously over the last 10 years, and build a sense of community, because there is unity in community. Number 8. Find joy in work. And everybody here at Cristo Rey understands that. You students here today understand that work is life's greatest therapy. Steve Jobs said the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know it when you find it. So my advice to you students is, as you graduate from college and start your careers, don't be afraid to find 1 job, 2 jobs, 10, 20 jobs. You'll finally find one that interests you in getting up in the morning and going to work. And if you like what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life, because you'll love what you do. And number 9, find happiness in your relationships. Find happiness in your relationships. The happiest moments in my life have been the few which I have passed at home in the bosom of my family, said Thomas Jefferson. We mourned the loss of Barbara Bush a month ago. And one of the things she said was her whole life, she said, more important than closing another sale or making another deal or writing another legal brief is spending time with family. Family is what it's all about. And you're supported here tonight by all your wonderful family members. So take time tonight to tell Mom, tell Dad, tell the significant people in your family how much you love them and how much you appreciate them being on your side during these 18 years as you graduate from high school tonight. And last but not least, it's about faith. A faith that challenged him or her to do their best, even indeed, especially when it was difficult. When you get to be my age, you don't think about money anymore. You don't think about material possessions or accomplishments. You think about these words: how will my life measure up? How many people have I helped in my life? And how has my faith sustained me? We had a horrible fire at Gallery Furniture on May 21st, 2009, $20 million fire. We gathered there that night after that fire and we prayed for God's grace. We were basically out of business. I had a speech the next day at a high school and a speech that night, a commencement address for another high school. And both people called that morning at 8 o'clock, said, "You're going to cancel those speeches, aren't you?" I said, "No, that's not the way I was brought up in my Catholic education. I was brought up to fulfill my obligations," and I did. And about 3 o'clock that night, that afternoon, my wife got a call from a banker guy we knew. He found a new warehouse for us. It had everything in there for a furniture warehouse. We moved in that day and sold $250,000 worth of furniture that day, even though the building had burned down the night before, because of God's grace. It's about faith. On August 26, 2017, I was at Gallery Furniture. I got a call from a woman. She said, "My husband is in the back of one of your trucks at I-10 in Wallaceville." This is about 10 o'clock at night. She said, "I was talking to him on the cell phone, and all of a sudden everybody in the truck started screaming, and the cell phone cut off. And she said, I think he is dead." And I'm thinking to myself, my God, we've drowned 10 people. And then I sent 2 of our employees out to try to find these people and rescue them. And by 1 o'clock in the morning, I still hadn't heard from them. One of the employees' wives-to-be was at the furniture store with me. And she, too, had a premonition that her boyfriend and the other helper from Gallery Furniture were both also dead in this flood. And the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. But, you know, I relied on God's grace. And God got all those people to safety. And God will provide for all of us. In closing, one of my recommendations to you would be make some unbreakable rules in your life. You'll never have to make decisions. Unbreakable rules: number 1, never miss Mass on Sunday. Number 2, never lie, cheat, and steal, and you'll have a great life. Number 3, never give up on yourself, your family, and your friends. It's about faith. Faith will sustain all of us. So my message to you graduates is very simple. Whatever I have done in my life, you can do better. You're smarter than me, you've got a great education, and you have an incredible future in front of you. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do, because I'm here to tell you what you can do. You can go where you want to go, do what you want to do, be what you want to be. You can make the world a better place. And at the end of the day, it's all about thinking, how can I help somebody every day become a better person? And I like this business philosophy of start with the end in mind. The business philosophy is start with the end in mind. The end in mind for all of us is when one day we get to heaven, the good Lord will say the same thing we say to all you graduates tonight. Well done, good and faithful servant. Congratulations.